Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Lewis. I'm the training director for Dallas region of Destination Imagination, and I'm coming to you from the beautiful Story Center at the downtown Dallas Public Library. It's a wonderful facility that they've just opened up for nonprofits to use. In fact, for individuals to use. So you might want to check it out too. It's wonderful space. I highly recommend it. And I'm using it today to bring to you another episode of What Appraisers Wish Team Managers Knew. And this is really kind of one of those fundamental things that somehow we just seem to skip because it's that business of how to read the rules of the road. Now, this year, today's September 17th, 2019, and as of right now, the Rules of the Road is a 52-page document. There's no jokes. There's no discernible plot. The characters are all really two-dimensional. No development, and so it's just not a very engaging read, but you still need to read it. And the reason that you need to do that is the reason that you tend not to do that is say, you know what, I'm just going to jump on ahead to the challenge itself. And there is some logic to that because you have the rules of the road as your basic rules that apply to all teams and all challenges all the time, except when the challenges say otherwise. And then when the challenges say otherwise, well, then the rules of the road in that particular instance for that particular component don't apply. So you can say, well, you know, this is something that's subject to be overturned, so I can just skip that. Not a good idea. Reading the rules of the road will make you aware of where you can, what you can do, what you can't do, and one of the critiques that I hear of team managers is that they get really nitpicky about the rules of the road, when in fact, if they'd read it, it would have made them less nitpicky because they know where the boundaries are. They know what's allowed and what isn't, and they get less upset about what other teams are doing. And that's another matter altogether. But it's real simple because like any good book, like any good document, you start with a table of contents. That ROTR is what you'll see some of the appraisers and challenge masters using as a kind of a shorthand for rules of the road. But you start with a table of contents, and that's where you get your first break, because this document is written with a description of the entire program, the entire Destination Imagination program worldwide, and how it applies to from the regional level to the affiliate level to the global level for appraisers and tournament directors and challenge masters and everyone. Most of it doesn't apply to you because it's starting with the big picture. And so if you know the big picture, or you don't really care about the big picture at this point, you want to deal in more of a chronological sequence, then you can drop right down to section 6. See, I just saved you 5 sections. You owe me. You start with the section on interference. Really, the point of interference is something that comes from the team will on tournament day or shortly before that, the team will be signing a Declaration of Independence, which says that what we have done is what we have done, not what someone else has done. It hasn't been someone else's idea. No one helped us. No one did any of the heavy lifting here. All of this stuff came out of our heads and our hearts and nobody else's. And because of that, they have a copyright claim. That's the reason that when the timekeeper announcer tells everybody that they can't, that the team has decided that you can or cannot record this, that you can't take pictures, that you can't take flash photography, it's because of that copyright claim. And the reason they've got that copyright claim is we've got this policy of interference that only their ideas make it onto the stage. Only their work makes it in front of the appraisers. Only their hard work gets scored. And so that's the bedrock of the program. So once you've got that in mind, then you start saying, well, but wait, what are the boundaries, Dave? I've got to know what I can do and what I can't do on this, and that's covered in the rules of the road. And I'll tell you very basically that you can answer questions if they think to ask them. You can give them information. You can even direct them, sometimes urgently, to reread the challenge if you think that they're running amok. And you can teach them skills. They don't know how to weld, you can teach them to weld if you know how. They don't know how to sew, then you either teach them how to sew or you tell them you're going to have to find another way to put that costume together. The next big point that most new team managers want to deal with is the expense report. And again, the expense report, they'll say, well, we get this $150 budget, but my goodness, you know how much it cost for all the things that we tried that didn't work? That's the cool thing. The expense report applies to what shows up in the performance area during the 8 minutes of performance. That's it. And you'll have rules in there about audio, video, and wheelchairs and street clothes and those sorts of things. You'll get those little specific exceptions and interpretations right there in the rules of the road. You read it, you won't have to wonder anymore. So let me give you a couple of examples of the edges of the rule. Team left something in the car. They don't know where they don't know where you found a parking place. So you can't go to retrieve this thing from the car yourself. You can lead a team member out to the car. You can unlock it and relock it. You can even carry something if they ask you to do so. You can carry it in for them, but it has to be their idea. They have to own the process. Second is the second example, and this is kind of the other end of the other edge of the okay zone. Backdrop starts to fall over, and you're standing there in the way, and it leans against you. You don't have to get out of the way. All right? But you can't jump into its way to stop it from falling over. So once you've dealt with the interference and the expense reports, then you get into challenge details, which of course will supersede it, and then there'll be the instant challenge, which is another matter, and instant challenge will be to be well practiced in that. But the rules of the road don't dwell much on the instant challenge. Practicing instant challenge is where your input as a team manager is allowed. It's the one place doing those practices, every team meeting, in an instant challenge where you're not dealing with that team challenge that they're going to be scored on. You're dealing with an instant challenge that they won't be scored on. And so you do get to do the stop, the evaluate it, the have your input, the have your criticism of what they are, and you can be honest with them, and you're not interfering. Plus, you get a chance to do it over, which is something they never get to do with real instant challenge on tournament day. And finally, you'll get into matters of scoring, and here it's really simple because we break it down into objective scores and subjective scores. And whenever you see the word "or" in a scoring summary, that's an objective score because it's a 0 or 5, 0 or 10, 0 or 20, whatever points they assign to that. Something either happened or it didn't. If it happened poorly, then it gets all the points. If it didn't happen, but didn't happen spectacularly, it gets nothing. That's what an objective score is. Did it happen or not? A subjective score is based on each appraiser's inner standard of what of how cool they think it was, how well they think it was executed, and that's not going to be something that you'll be able to challenge or anything. It is what it is. These are the appraisers that we have, and they're going to be consistent all day long with every team that they see. So you're going to be on a level playing field in that regard. And finally, there will be tournament rules, and you read those sorts of things. If you read through the tournament rules, then you're probably limiting yourself to just one surprise on tournament day, and believe me, one is enough. So go ahead and read it. Like I said, there's not a laugh anywhere in there. It's not much of a plot, but it will certainly save your performance from being a tragedy.